Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I'll tell you what, I'm absolutely outraged. Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA targeted by the FBI, including the Republican National Committee. Chuck Grassley revealed this in Kash Patel's blockbuster hearing yesterday. I mean, Kash Patel may be the best witness yet for President Trump in a congressional hearing room. Let Democrat senators have it. We will get to that in the program. But I want to talk about this persecution of conservatives that we now know is very, very real. So Chuck Grassley reveals that Turning Point USA under investigation by the FBI. This is following January 6th. Why was Turning Point USA under investigation? Because it was dangerous. It was getting to the hearts and minds of young people and taking them away from the Democrat Party. And that was just too much for the Biden Gestapo to handle. So they go after Turning Point USA. And in that process, remember, everybody around President Trump was being persecuted, was being targeted by the FBI. Political prisoners is an understatement, not just for the J6ers, but people like Steve Bannon and, of course, Peter Navarro. So Peter Navarro, maybe President Trump's longest serving member of his White House team, the FBI went after him with a vengeance, ultimately getting him put behind bars in the most bogus fashion. Well, if you remember when they arrested Peter Navarro, they claimed they needed to use military-style force to take him down because he was so combative when they first served him the subpoena to testify before the Select Committee. Well, guess what? Now we have the audio. We've got the audio that proves Peter Navarro wasn't combative. He was just ticked off. Was he respectful? Or as respectful as you can be when FBI agents are giving you a bogus, fake, phony fraud of a subpoena that I believe goes outside the bounds of the Constitution? Did he use some foul language? Yes. Was he out of control? Was he combative? Was he a danger? No. That narrative was crazy, but it allowed them to go in there with the full force that you would see of taking down El Chapo. When you hear this audio, you will again see why the FBI needs to be ashamed of itself. We're going to get to that in just a second. The podcast is brought to you in part by Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com/grant. That is the website I want you to go to. I use Patriot Mobile for my cell phone service. Fabulous, fabulous company. It's run by conservatives for conservatives. They're putting flags in classrooms. They're putting 10 commandments in classrooms. Not to mention they've got 100% U.S.-based customer service. So besides all the ancillary things they do to push America in the right direction, they're making sure that your cell phone service is perfect. They've got a performance guarantee like none other. PatriotMobile.com/grant. You choose what network you want to be on. No problems there. U.S.-based customer service. Switching is totally easy. And if you go there today, PatriotMobile.com/grant, use the promo code GRANT, you get a free month's service. That can't be beat. 972-PATRIOT is the number, 972-PATRIOT. You tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. Let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. We will get to more on the Charlie Kirk assassination. The reality is all of this plays into the Charlie Kirk assassination. See, under the Biden and Obama regime, they vilified us in such a way to get people to go after us. The reason they call us Nazis is because they want to call us Nazis. So in the end, they can go after us. And it's like an approval that, you know what? It's okay to use violence against them. They're Nazis. We're going to talk to a comic book artist, one of the premier in the industry, that's going to tell you about how the comic book industry is going after conservatives. That's a little bit later in the show. But this idea that the FBI is targeting Turning Point USA after January 6th and other Republican groups, dozens of them. We're going to hear from Chuck Grassley about that. But first and foremost, Peter Navarro. They told us Peter Navarro was combative. They said this is why they needed to use the force of taking down a cartel member. Peter Navarro was a great patriot. He wasn't going to do anything to FBI agents. If you don't believe me, listen to the tape.
You love just coming and banging on doors and
we knock on people's doors.
Intimidation bullshit.
Well, sir.
What is this about? Do you have any idea what this is about, or you just run dunes for the FBI? Tell me.
So we're here to ask you a couple questions.
I'm not answering any questions.
Okay.
I got the subpoena. You get the fuck out of here now, okay?
Okay.
Just get the fuck out of here.
Sir,
Go next door. This is intimidation by Merrick Garland, by the FBI. You guys ought to be ashamed of yourselves,
Have a great day,
okay?
sir. Thank you.
Have a great day, yeah.
Sure.
Now, is that combative to you? Give me the subpoena and get the F out of here. You guys use these intimidation tactics. Oh, you thought that was intimidating Peter Navarro? They came into his house to arrest him in full freaking SWAT gear. What is Peter Navarro going to do? You could have called his attorney to set up an opportunity to turn himself in. But no, they used this idea that somehow he was combative in all of this. And we know that isn't the case.
Fuck out of here now, okay?
Okay. Sir, my name is Walter Jordan.
Okay, who are you?
Sebastian Gardner.
Okay, you love just coming and banging on doors and
we knock on people's doors.
Intimidation bullshit.
Well, sir.
What is this about? Do you have any idea what this is about, or you just run dunes for the FBI? Tell me.
So we're here to ask you a couple questions.
I'm not answering any questions.
Okay.
I got the subpoena. You get the fuck out of here now, okay?
Okay.
Just get the fuck out of here.
Sir,
Go next door. This is intimidation by Merrick Garland, by the FBI. You guys ought to be ashamed of yourselves,
Have a great day, sir.
okay?
Thank you.
Have a great day, yeah.
Way to go, Peter Navarro. I'm so proud of him. Now, this is a guy who's been around the block. One of the top officials in the White House. First term for President Trump, second term for President Trump. He's one of my favorite guys because he tells it like it is, and he doesn't take any bullshit from anybody, not even two FBI agents acting like the Gestapo, coming in, playing political warfare. This is proof to me that Joe Biden, under Barack Obama's direction, I'm sure, weaponized the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland, all the way down to Comey, and then ultimately Christopher Wray, to go after all of us. It's disgusting. And those agents, what was it, Agent Gardner, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Is that really why you went into law enforcement? I'm going to ask you, when your buddies at the golf club hear this audio of you going after Peter Navarro, a great American hero, what do they say to you? You giant wuss bag. That's what they should say to you. You should stand up and say, no, I'm not doing this, boss. Find someone else to go serve Peter Navarro a subpoena. That guy's an American hero, but no. They brought in people to the FBI that they knew would do their bidding. This is why the job is so hard for Kash Patel to now expel those people from the ranks of the FBI. There's a mentality that has taken over the FBI that somehow the FBI should serve at the will of Democrats. And it's beside itself now with Dan Bongino and Kash Patel trying to turn things around. So on this day, we also learn from Chuck Grassley, he's the one that released that video, that the FBI was targeting not just President Trump, not just Peter Navarro, but conservative groups, including the Republican National Committee. This is like Richard Nixon style stuff. Listen to Grassley.
The case was expanded to Republican organizations. Some examples of the group that Ray FBI sought to place under political investigation included the Republican National Committee, Republican Attorney General's Association, and various Trump political groups.
The Republican Attorney General's Association, law enforcement officers, the highest in their respective states. That's who they're going after. The Republican National Committee, that alone proves this was political warfare, using a federal agency to go after a political opponent. This is Venezuelan shit, folks. And again, it's being exposed. The only sad part about yesterday, besides the news of this happening, which we all knew it was, but this is just more confirmation, is that the mainstream media doesn't cover any of this. Much of it is overshadowed by Charlie Kirk's assassination, as well it should be. That's the main news. We're going to get to that in a moment. But I wanted to make sure we focus down on this today, that the headline on my podcast today is of the weaponization of government by Democrats. At the same time, promoting this idea that we're all Nazis and it's okay to go out and kill you.
In total, 92 Republican targets, including Republican groups and Republican-linked individuals, were placed under investigative scope of Arctic Frost. On that political list was one of Charlie Kirk's groups, Turning Point USA. In other words, Arctic Frost wasn't just a case to politically investigate Trump. It was the vehicle by which partisan FBI agents and Department of Justice prosecutors could achieve their partisan ends and improperly investigate the entire Republican political apparatus.
92 separate targets? I want to see the list of all 92. I don't have that yet. 92 targets, including Turning Point USA. And you think it's a coincidence that Turning Point USA is on that list? And then we've got a deranged assassin that takes out Charlie Kirk? It's no coincidence. The Democrats set all this up, and I believe it goes all the way back to COVID. Because you know what it did? It sent young men, these incels, involuntarily celibate, angry young men that can't get laid, sorry for my language, into the dark web, into the underbelly of society on social media, playing wacky video games, concocting these schemes as Democrats call us Nazis that need to be taken out. And the next thing you know, they want to be their version of a superhero. Take out all the Nazis. That's conservatives. That's all you. Take out the grand leader. What is it? The grand dragon, Charlie Kirk, the most racist of all. Let's kill him. This is on Democrats' hands. We're not Nazis. We're not racist. We want equal opportunity for everybody. I don't need to tell you that. But for the media that's going to cherry pick this podcast, I do. So, this is awful as far as I'm concerned. And the mainstream media needs to do a better job of covering it.
So today, Senator Johnson and I are making these records public for the entire country to see, and I hope a lot of people are interested.
Yeah, nobody's interested. Nobody but you and me. Please, by the way, like the podcast, subscribe if you can. It's important that we spread this message as far as we freaking can. All right. I'm going to play the text message. This is we have so much craziness now that is unfolding over these text messages, the Discord chat between the alleged shooter and his lover Twiggy. Okay? Think about this crime. The way the FBI lays it out is that you've got the shooter, who I guess is gay because he's dating a man that's transitioning to a woman. I still think that makes you gay. He's embracing the trans ideology. He's so hateful. This is how the FBI lays it out. He's so hateful that he gets on a roof and shoots Charlie Kirk. He admits all this in text messages. We'll go through all the messages for you. Now there is this wild thought that the text messages are doctored. They're wrong. I'm going to tell you why. The chance of that happening is slim to none. I know you want to believe it, but I'm going to tell you why it would be really hard to pull this one off, okay? And I got facts for you on this. That in just a moment. Before I do that, I want to tell you, if you are like me and really understand that crypto is the next wave of investment opportunity, and it is not too late, and I'll tell you why it's not too late. Because what the folks at get20now.com are doing is allowing you to lock into up to 20% annualized interest on your investment, a lock-in, contractually guaranteed investment up to 20% interest paid monthly.